I'd hope so.
I think it already says live.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Box Office Banter, episode 44 to be exact. And we are here with the great Adam Marcus. Would you like to introduce yourself, sir?
Hey, y'all. I'm Adam Marcus. It's a real pleasure to be here. Sorry for the phone in the background.
There's man starting out in style.
Right. Nothing janky about it.
It sounds
terrific.
retro, dude.
Yeah, I know. It's the actual office phone, so that's why it sounds like that.
Okay.
Yeah,
I hear you.
yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. All right. We got some trivia for you, man. This is how we like to kick off our show. As I kind of was explaining before we came on, we were gonna originally kind of scrap it because we usually do like a group type thing, but I was like, you know what? I'm challenging Adam Marcus one-on-one to some trivia right now. Let's do it.
I dig it.
Okay.
Yeah, I got 5 questions. They're all horror themed, the horror genre. So we'll jump right into it. After I ask the question, you can give your answer, and then Brandon can give his, or Brandon can go first, whichever.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
They're pretty easy. The first question: which horror film was the first ever of its genre to be nominated for a Best Picture Oscar?
Let me think on this one. I feel like I should know this one, but of course, I think that every time.
It's not very recent. That's all I'll say.
I figured that.
Yeah.
Maybe this was a little harder than
you better like.
I mean, look, I know the only horror film ever to win the Big Five, and it's a controversial whether it's horror or not. I consider it horror. Is Silence of the Lambs, which won Best Picture, Actor, Actress, Director, and Writer. So that's the only one ever to win the Big Five. But I mean, I'm gonna. Yeah, no. I'm gonna go on a limb and say. Say Rosemary's Baby.
Oh my God, I shit you not. That was exactly what I was gonna say. Rosemary's Baby.
No. It says The Exorcist. So.
Well, and again, I was thinking before The Exorcist. So yes,
yeah, Rosemary's Baby was 68, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, same wavelength. As soon as you
and by the way, The Exorcist is my favorite film, so it's hilarious. Like that's yes, of course, it was up for the Oscar, but I was thinking it was earlier than that. I was afraid you were going to say something like Bride of Frankenstein. I was going to be like, how do I not know that?
Yeah,
I hear you, man.
Okay, this next question, it's whoever gets closest to the answer.
Closest. Are these easy or not?
Yeah, this is.
You were like, it's easy.
This one, I don't. Google told me it's easy.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. How long did it take to film the Blair Witch Project?
Wasn't it I feel like I did know this one. What was it? A week?
You say a week?
I say a week.
I think it was closer to 5 days.
Okay, 8 days. Brandon,
there you go.
Yep.
I was about
Y'all
to say,
were both close because I would have been like 3 months.
Yeah,
and here's the terrible thing. Heather was a student of mine, so I should have known it was 8 days, but I thought it was closer to 5.
Oh my God. That's
awesome.
Yeah.
So Brandon's on the board.
I was going to cheat right there if it was 5.
No,
I
dig
meant
it.
5 working days. Duh, that's what I meant by a week.
Okay, this next question is, which movie has this quote? It's not the house that's haunted, it's your son.
Oh, dude.
This one isn't too old either.
It's Insidious, right?
What do you got, Brandon?
See, I have no reference for this, but I swear to God, again, I was thinking Insidious, but I don't really know the answer to this. And now I feel like I'm almost
lock
cheating.
it in. Lock in.
I'll say Insidious too.
Bingo. Both of y'all got it. It is Insidious.
Yeah, I really wasn't expecting to get that one, and then you said, I was like, maybe I will get it.
Okay,
Oh, great minds think alike.
I'm sure. I know Brandon will probably get this. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
We'll see. What was Freddy Krueger's serial killer nickname before he died?
The Springwood Slasher.
That's your answer?
Yeah.
That's the answer.
That's their answer. Good job. Okay. Brandon's up 1. This is the last question, and it's a 3-part, so you could get 3 total.
Very exciting bonus round.
Yes, this is amazing.
Oh no.
Which 3 horror films did the serial killer Ed Gein inspire? So you get a point for each movie if you get it correct.
Ed Gein?
Ed Gein, yeah.
I know it. Do you know?
Well, there's more than 3, but
the 3 main ones.
The 3 main ones, yes.
Psycho, Silence of the Lambs, Texas Chainsaw.
Exactly. He just nailed it.
Yeah, he nailed it.
Yep. That was my 3 too.
But by the way, there was also the movie Ed Gein.
Yeah. It's literally in the title.
Yeah.
I just went by Google.
Yeah, no. That's good. That's good. Look, Ed Gein, by the way, I mean, the number of serial killer movies that he's inspired, I mean, there's a ton more that still fall under his purview. Even things like Death Dream, even though that's, it's about the Vietnam War, it's still Ed Gein inspired. So Maniac is Ed Gein inspired.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good point. Maniac.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Well, that's
good questions.
That was
good questions, guys. That was good.
Thank you. I worked really hard on that before the show.
At least 24 hours.
Yeah.
All right. So we ready to go into the interview portion?
Let's jump right into it.
Love it. Love it.
How was your experience on Jason Goes to Hell? And also, how does it feel to be part of the Friday legacy?
It's interesting. It's a similar answer for both things, actually. I mean, look, I loved making Jason Goes to Hell. I mean, I loved it. I was 23 years old. I had, 100 person crew and a huge cast, following my lead, and they were incredibly respectful and beautiful and made a knucklehead kid look good. So I was really, really blessed, that they embraced me and that they actually made the movie with me. And look, I was around the Cunninghams from the time I was about 10 years old, and really 9. And, so I was around when they were making the original Friday, when they were making A Stranger's Watching and House, and, doing table reads for Wes Craven and that kind of stuff. So that was my whole growing up. So Friday felt like I was graduating. From being this kid working on all this stuff into being a filmmaker. As far as being part of the franchise, guys, look, I mean, I think there's a reason that you're seeing this incredible surge of fan films made about Friday, because I think everybody wants to be a part of that legacy. Wants to have a foothold in that legacy. And there's a reason for it. There's something so remarkable about the Friday the 13th franchise. And look, I'm a huge fan of sort of all of the major franchises that came out of that period of filmmaking. But there are varying degrees of love for each one, especially given sort of how many times they reboot or how many times the timeline splits. I mean, Halloween, for goodness sake, like you need a route explorer to figure out which timeline you're in at any given moment. And Texas Chainsaw, I was part of one of the the threads of that series as well with Texas Chainsaw 3D. But the thing about Friday 13th, minus the remake, it's kind of a badass franchise in that it never talks about how it's going off some other route. It's one straight route. And again, as effed up as that timeline is, there's a certain adherence to the love of the character, to the shark in the water. The other thing is, That's what it is. He's a shark in the water. It's like this like long Jaws movie. And there's something so clean and so great about that. So yeah, I'm super proud. And honestly, I got to tell you, you know, the fans of these movies. And look, by the way, I mean, I'm not a fool. I know that there's a lot of fans that, you know, either hate my movie or take great umbrage with it. Or my favorite is, you know, it's a great horror movie. It's just not a great Friday the 13th movie. And I'm sort of like, okay, you know, cool. That's everybody is totally entitled to their opinion. That's awesome. But I still have to say the Friday fans are, I've never met fans like these. And I've worked in a lot of genres. I've done a lot of stuff. And these are the fans that they're not just loyal. They're like an army behind this movie. They adore these movies. And they adore this character, and look, you know, I'm also blessed with having the fact that Kane Hodder was Jason in my movie, which, you know, kind of makes it extra badass.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'm proud of the work on the movie. I was proud to work on the movie, and I love being part of the franchise. That being said, look, was it easy, you know, making that movie? Fuck no.
Yeah,
it was not. Yes. Well, you know what? It's not even the 23 years old thing. It's the fact that my film, and one of the things that a lot of people don't seem to realize, because the rights had gone from Paramount to New Line had purchased the character Jason Voorhees. They had purchased all the elements of the first Friday the 13th movie. Well, that's not really helpful to a filmmaker. Because originally the hero of the movie was supposed to be Tommy Jarvis. So it was supposed to be a finale of the series. It was always going to be the final Friday. And I was tasked with kind of putting a cap on the end of this whole thing. Well, I wanted it to be about Tommy, because Tommy is really the only hero rooted throughout the films. I wasn't allowed to have Tommy. Paramount didn't sell New Line Tommy, so we couldn't have it. So, which is infuriating. I also had to get rid of the hockey mask as per Sean Cunningham's demand. There were a lot of walls that got put up in front of me in making a Friday movie that I had to kind of leap over in order to construct it. Yeah. And then once I got to constructing it, you know, Sean Cunningham, who literally had said, get the hockey mask out of the movie, suddenly, you know, when the movie is more controversial and you know, and I do blow up Jason 8 minutes into the movie, Sean starts running for the hills saying he did it. And I'm like, really? The 23-year-old kid told you what was going to happen to the franchise. That's what happened. Right. So, yeah, so, you know, there's been definitely some consternation and a bit of shenanigans and nonsense coming from his side of the fence. But I got to tell you, that said, I still really love the movie I made. Like, I still think it's really badass, and it's gorier than almost any entry in the franchise. The kill count is insane. And it's, you know, it's the first Friday 13th movie that's really kind of a monster movie, which is kind of cool. So, you know, look, I'm a huge Friday geek. I love these movies. I saw every one of them in the theater multiple times. The first movie I saw months before anybody else saw it in the world, because I was literally living at Sean Cunningham's house with, you know, his son Noel and I were best friends. And so I watched that movie on Noel's birthday, which happened to be Friday the 13th, June 13th, 1980, which is exactly the day of the movie. So we watched that in his living room with all of our friends. So I had a real connection to that franchise. So for me, it was like the most golden opportunity for a young filmmaker.
No, and you definitely did a good job with it. I'll be the
first
to tell you, I've always been somebody that's a straight shooter, and I think I've even told you before.
Yep.
I was originally not a fan of the film, but as I got older, and I did, in a way, I'll admit, it kind of was a thing where I did separate it a bit from the franchise. I feel like I kind of had to do that, but now that I'm older, it does fit in, and I honor it as one of the movies in the franchise. And it definitely is a solid flick if you can look at it on its own merits and what it is. Like, you can't just look at it like how I did when I was a little kid, like, oh, what is this? Jason roaming around like Jason ain't even in the movie. And like you've even said, Jason, he's in the movie just as much as any of these other movies.
Like, he's actually in it more than most of the other films. His actual persona is in the film longer.
Yeah. And even you, man, like you've helped me enjoy the movie more. Not that you've like forced that on me, but
no.
You've talked about it, and that like that's a damn good point. And then when I watch it with fresh eyes, it's better. And I think a lot of people are coming around to it more and more as it gets older, and they watch it more and more.
Well, I got to tell you, look, when I think when the internet has been the movie's worst enemy and then best friend back and forth, and when that guy did that video about how New Line destroyed the Friday the 13th franchise, like I got a wave of hate that was like insane. People wishing me ass cancer and this kind of nonsense.
That's just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous. But then, when TJ and Corey, when they created the Friday the 13th fan page on Facebook for my birthday a few years ago, I was so blown away. I was like, dudes, that's the coolest. Like, you guys are awesome. I literally expected there to be like 100 people that would come on the thing and talk about it and blah, blah, blah. And within weeks, it was up to thousands of people. I was like, wait a minute, what is this? And then there was that petition to get me to, to do my director's cut at Warner Brothers. And that ended up with over 5,000 signatures on it. I was like, wow, there's real love for this. So I think not unlike Halloween 3, which my movie gets compared to a lot. Thank you. I'm a huge fan of that movie too. So my only problem with Halloween 3 is that they didn't give it enough money. It should have been made for more money because there are scenes that look like a TV movie only because of the budgetary constraints. But
towards the end there with where everything was going crazy and flashing.
Yes.
Like, okay.
But yeah, it just gets a little janky just because they didn't have the funds. But I got to tell you, from a story standpoint and from what John Carpenter originally wanted to do with that franchise, it to me is one of the most pure Halloween movies, even though Michael Myers only makes an appearance on a television. And so for me, Jason Goes to Hell, much like Friday 5, like Halloween 3, like a number of these movies that were sort of outcast movies for a while, they're not just starting to find, they've found a new audience and a younger audience as well that's looking at it and going, this movie's badass. What were people complaining about? So, and again, look, here's the thing. The one thing I will put toe-to-toe against any Friday movie, and I mean any Friday movie, my cast is unbelievable. The work by that group of actors, it's one of the few Friday movies where the heroes have complete lives. They were written complete human being characters. My actors rehearsed for a month before we shot the movie. There's no other Friday the 13th movie that had a rehearsal schedule. It's not true. It just didn't. I'm the only one that had that. And Can Be killed it on the effects. The effects in the movie are insane. And it's all practical, and they are just beautifully badass. Bob Kurtzman and Howard Berger and Greg Nicotero as well. Like those guys, they just knocked it out of the park. So, that's the stuff that I'm particularly proud of.
That's awesome, man.
Thanks, man.
Those effects still hold up so well.
Yeah, you kind of went into it already, but what went into your decision of making or putting a new spin on the Jason? Was that mostly because the rights and all that?
Well, it was 100% because Sean Cunningham said he wanted a mask out of there. Look, you have to remember, Sean Cunningham, when he made the first Friday, much like John Carpenter on Halloween, he didn't want to tell stories about Jason Voorhees. He had no interest. He wanted to tell tales of the unluckiest day of the year. That was the idea. Much like John Carpenter didn't want to tell Michael Myers stories, he wanted to tell stories of Halloween. So they both wanted franchises. They just wanted it to be about the date, not about the character. And the characters became so strong that then that's what happened. So first they put the sack on his head in part 2. Sean thought that was idiotic and was asking if they were making Elephant Man, the horror movie.
Yeah.
And by the way, note, Sean did not have any involvement with any of the films from 2 to 8. He was gone, guys. He did not make those movies. No. So his wife, God rest her soul, Susan, was the editor on part 2 and did a brilliant job. And Steve Miner, who was his protege, did 2 and 3. But Sean did not make those films. Sean was off making A Stranger Is Watching. He walked away from the Friday 13th franchise because he felt like they were going in a really stupid direction. He was incredibly wrong, by the way, but that's what he felt. By the time they got to part 3 in the hockey mask, Sean's response to that was, the sack was stupid. This is worse. Like, this does not make any sense. So Sean hated the hockey mask. And you guys have to remember, Sean was a filmmaker who wanted to make a lot of different kinds of movies. He didn't want to just make horror films. He started, his first movie was a porn movie. Let's put that straight. Oh, yeah. He discovered Marilyn Chambers in a movie called Together. Then he goes off and makes, Last House on the Left, makes a ton of money. And immediately after that, Sean starts making movies for children. He starts making kids' movies. Here Come the Tiger and Manny's Orphans. So he wanted to do sort of the Bad News Bears thing. Well, none of that works. Finally, he says, the only success I've really had is Last House on the Left. Maybe that's where I need to go. Mm-hmm. So he picked a date because John Carpenter had a hit with Halloween, and Sean never met an idea he wouldn't want to steal. And he went, okay, cool. I'll do Friday the 13th. And that launches, well, guys, guess what? The minute he did Friday the 13th, no one ever wanted to talk to Sean about doing anything that wasn't horror. That was his life. Well, Sean didn't want to be a horror filmmaker. He didn't. He wanted to make kids' movies. That's what he was into. So now this guy, he's like the man in the Iron Mask. He's the man in the hockey mask. That's his life. He's trapped behind that hockey mask. And even to this day, now he's at conventions, signing autographs because of the hockey mask. So he wanted me to get that out of the damn movie. And my response to it was, okay, like, that's my job. Okay, I'll figure it out. And so a few days later, I brought him a treatment. Now, the original treatment for the film, which was originally called Friday the 13th, The Heart of Darkness. That was the original title. Mm-hmm. And that's why the new documentary about the making of the film is Hearts of Darkness, The Making of the Final Friday. That's why it's called that. That movie was way darker than what we ended up making. Way more like vicious and grotesque and terrifying. Actually, it was terrifying. And everybody, New Line, Sean, were all like, "Whoa!" We liked the whole idea of Jason's evil getting out and sort of that part of it, but I had really gone for broke, guys. Like, this was a vicious movie. And so we started working the story and working the script. And then Dean Laurie came on and started doing rewrites, and he's a brilliant writer and one of my closest friends, in college. And that's how that had all happened. And we ended up with what was the route for Jason Goes to Hell. So that's kind of how it came about. But really it stemmed from the fact that Sean desperately wanted to get away from the hockey mask.
Mm-hmm. Was there any thought ever of using the silver one on the cover?
No, the chrome mask. The chrome mask was actually made by the marketing department. We had never even seen it. We'd finished the movie, and they made the chrome mask for the cover. And I got to tell you, it's really funny. That poster. First off, the poster was genius because the poster got banned all over the place. Like there were theaters that would put a censored bar, a black censored bar over the penis snake demon thing. I don't know what the hell that thing was. It's ridiculous. And Bob Kurtzman, who's one of my closest friends to this day, who does all my effects still, Bob was like, what the hell is that thing? Like, and why didn't they ask K&B to do the design of the post? Like, why didn't they just ask us? We would have made something. So I love that there's this giant angry penis in the middle of my poster.
Almost what it looks like. It looks cool though at the same time.
Yeah.
I still remember being a little kid, like in the video store, because I basically grew up in a video store. The person who used to babysit me owned a video store, and I saw this little couch that was it was like a little chair from the inside of a van, and she had it propped up, and there's a vending machine and a small TV on top with the VCR cassette thing built into it. And I would just pop in Friday the 13th after Friday the 13th after Friday the 13th. And your case always stood out to me the most. And that's what's like so unreal about this. Like, I've talked to you a few times other than this, but like actually having you on my show, I would have never thought when I was like 3 years old or whatever it was, when I was looking at that, it's like, yeah, one day I'll talk to this guy. But like, that's what's crazy about this, man. Like, that's so awesome. But yeah, that chrome almost looking mask, I always kind of wondered what the story was behind that, because I was like, well, why would they do this if this is like this? But
yeah, they came up with that. I think it was actually I think they built the mask for the teaser trailer.
Okay.
And they were so in love with it that's when they were like, let's tie this to the marketing through the poster as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Awesome.
I'm gonna switch gears here. How was your experience on the set of Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3D?
Well, here's the thing. I was never on the set of Texas Chainsaw 3D.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah. What happened with that movie? Do you guys know who Steve Susko is?
Sounds familiar.
Yeah.
He
wrote The Grudge, which was sort of his big claim to fame at the beginning of his career. Mm-hmm. And then he did a ton of stuff. He did that terrific sequel to Unfriended, Dark Web.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So he wrote and directed that. And Steve's awesome, and he's a maniac. He's just a freaking lunatic. Anyway, he was the first writer on Texas Chainsaw, or what would become Texas Chainsaw. And the thing is that Steve had written a script that was all about cannibalism, because that's what the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is about. Mm-hmm. Well, Lionsgate did not want that. And they came back at him and said, look, we don't want this to be about cannibalism. You can't have any cannibalism in the movie. And of course, Susko's like, but it's Texas Chainsaw. How the hell do you make that without it being about cannibalism? Okay. The reason was that Lionsgate did not want another movie about cannibalism because Midnight Meat Train was a giant disaster for the company.
Okay.
Oh, and I love that movie, actually.
It's terrific. It's terrific. And by the way, if you talk to the people at Lionsgate, they thought it was a terrific movie too. It just failed. I mean, it was a massive fail. So they did not want to go down that road again, which I totally understand. And again, look, when you're writing for a company, they're the boss. They're the ones with the money. You do what they say. That's not really the way Steve works.
Yeah.
So he delivered a second draft that was actually more about cannibalism. So he ended his time working on that movie, and they then took the script and threw it out. They would not allow other writers to see it. We were not allowed to look at that script. Then Deborah and I and 17 other writers went for the job, right? We're asked to come in to give a pitch for the job. Mm-hmm. And so Deb and I did that. We pitched. We also came and we wrote like that first scene at the house. So that the idea of like the first movie being the beginning of our film, that we actually brought them those pages the day we pitched our story. So we had the entire siege at the Sawyer house so that the movie would be directly connected to Toby's film, right? And it even said in the pages, it said the layers of the original film need to be separated so everything suddenly becomes 3D, which they did in the final film. So Deb and I write the script, and we wrote several drafts. We had to do it very quickly because they needed to shoot the movie. They needed to be in production before the end of that year because of a rights issue. So Deb and I truly, I don't ever remember writing so quickly. So we wrote draft after draft. The long and short of it is that the producer who was making the film at Lionsgate had become so combative with us, with the studio, with everybody, that Lionsgate told him, look, you need to go find financing on your own. And Lionsgate ended up not making the movie, but distributing the film. So they would do the distribution, but they would not fund the movie. So suddenly this $20 million script that Deb and I had written was now an $8 million movie because this guy had to get financing elsewhere. So our original script is huge, guys. Guys, there is a stampede in our movie of 2,000 head of cattle with Leatherface walking through the stampede wielding the chainsaw, all in 3D.
That's so badass. They should, like, I need the cut.
I need this cut.
I literally, when I wrote the image, I was like, this is the poster of the movie. Like, this has to be the poster. Him with all these steers stampeding around him with the chainsaw. I was like, come on, this is awesome. So things like, the carnival, the whole scene at the carnival was like, so, guys, it was so much bigger. He murdered so many people at that carnival. I mean, heads are coming off, the whole bit. I mean, it was insane, right? And I'll give you a perfect example of the difference between our script and the film. In the script, when they go off the road and the van flips over, and in the movie, he gets killed, like the window kills him. I'm like, oh, that's terrifying. In our version of it, the three kids are tossed in this tin can of a van, right? And her boyfriend lands against the roof of the van, which has now become the wall, right? Because it's tipped on its side. Yeah. And they hear the saw outside. They just hear it, right? And they all freeze. And so Alexander Daddario's character is sitting across from Trey Songz, and suddenly you hear the blade hit metal, and the blade comes through his chest. Okay? And he reflexively grabs the blade, and his fingers fly off into her face.
In 3D.
All in 3D.
That would be so many missed opportunities.
You've already made this movie better. Because I'll be
honest
with you, I'm not a huge fan of 3D, and that always because I was like, man, Adam even wrote it, but I can see like a lot of choices are just left in
the worst thing about this is that the timeline. Okay, the movie takes place in our script in August of 1993.
Yeah.
Okay. What the hell is a smartphone doing in the movie? We didn't write that. That's not in our version of it. That scene is 4 cops in full riot gear going into a hardware store because Leatherface has lost the chainsaw at the carnival and needs a new one. Mm-hmm. And literally, it's Leatherface in a hardware store, not using a chainsaw, using anything else at his disposal, and tearing 4 cops to pieces. That was the scene in our script. So then they went, we'll do 1 cop in a basement with a smartphone. I'm like, what? Yeah. What are you guys doing? There were no smartphones. It's 1993.
This makes me even more mad about it.
Dude, it's crazy.
You could have brought to the table with this.
I'm upset that none of what you're saying was in the movie.
It sounds
like
amazing.
It would be so much better. It's unbelievable.
Well, and here's the thing. I was almost making up for Jason Goes to Hell for Uber fans because I wanted the movie to be nothing but wall-to-wall Leatherface. Like, just Leatherface fucking slashing his way through this town. Mm-hmm. And that was the movie. The kill count, guys, in our script, I think the kill count was like 40 people.
Jesus.
The last scene at, in the plant, in our script, it was the 12 remaining people who had been in the crowd when they killed the Sawyers.
Oh, okay.
So for the last 20 years, Leatherface has been living in the basement of his grandmother's mansion.
Yeah.
And he's got this huge printed photograph from the newspaper of all the people that burned the house down, like that where they're all posed.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And he's slashing through their faces each time he kills one. So there's still 12 faces. There's 14 faces left because Alexander Daddario's parents are in Chicago. He doesn't know where they are. Yeah. But the other 12 are there. They're the last people with Bert Hartman at the end of the movie. When they're beating Leatherface, it's 12 people beating Leatherface, who's tied up, who's chained up in the plant. 12 people. And when he gets his hands on the chainsaw, and by the way, we never wrote the line, "Do your thing."
Yeah,
because we did not write that line.
I can't.
That ruined that.
Yeah, that.
But guys, it was Leatherface against 12 cowboys, all with guns, with all this stuff, and it's just Leatherface just tearing these guys to pieces. And the last thing is Bert Hartman has this huge bone cutter, and it's Leatherface with the chainsaw and Bert Hartman with the bone cutter going after each other, and they're just fucking ripping each other to pieces at the end of the movie. So we had a much more violent, bigger movie. But again, by the way, look. This happens all the time. You write a huge movie, then the budget gets cut in half. That happens. Yeah, so I understand that part of it, but I got to tell you, like, I watched two guys slapping Leatherface around at the end of that movie. I'm like, man, that just makes Leatherface look weak. You couldn't get a few extras just to slap him around, and you don't have to show him killing everyone. Just show the saw going through air and see blood splattering the walls. We got it.
Exactly.
Get creative. Like, I mean,
there you go.
There's so much creativity lost anymore.
I wish they would listen to all these people like you instead of just cutting budgets just to make them happy.
Well, guys, look, even the director of the movie, John Lucenhop, who's a terrific guy and he's a talented filmmaker. He doesn't make horror movies. That's not what he does.
Yeah.
And there's all these directors now who want to make horror movies because they've always made more money than any other film. So everybody wants to jump on the bandwagon. That doesn't mean you're a horror director. That doesn't mean you love the genre. You have to love the genre, otherwise you're a tourist.
Exactly.
Yeah. I can definitely see that, man.
Yeah.
Okay. So I gotta ask.
Yeah.
Was Val Kilmer really that bad on the set of Conspiracy?
Dude, he's the worst human being I've ever known. He just is.
I don't know him, but I can see it.
Yeah.
He's look, listen, it's a combination of a lot of things, and there's definitely some substance abuse problems that were going on at the time when I was around him. He is he's a bad guy. He's not a nice man. And that's the biggest look. I can handle. I've dealt with people who are high before. I've had to wrangle actors like that. That happens. I've dealt with some shenanigans. I got to tell you, with this guy, it was so egregious, and he was harassing to my lead actress, to Jennifer Esposito, who is one of the finest human beings I've ever had the pleasure of working with. He was rude and insufferable to Gary Cole, who you can't find a better actor than Gary Cole. He is extraordinary. I had 24 of my troupe from LA that went to New Mexico to work on that movie with me. This guy, I was in the movie. I'm in Conspiracy. Okay. I'm an actor in the movie. Val asked me to be in the movie because he had seen my work in something else. And so he said, we got to have scenes together. We got to work together. I was like, yeah, let's do it, Val.
Yeah.
Okay. We shot Val first because you always shoot Val first. That's a demand. So I shot Val first. I go to turn the camera around to get my coverage. Val leaves. I'm acting opposite his photo double. Val just left. Guys, there's more of the stuntman and Val's photo double in my movie than there is of Val Kilmer.
That's insane.
Because he wouldn't be there. Like he was abusive and harassing to a point that I've never experienced. Look, guys, on the 6th day of production, he kicked me in the nuts on set.
What?
Kick him back.
Dude, I was too busy being on the floor grabbing my nuts.
I know, man.
I was in some freaking agony, dude. Trust me, I wanted to do more than kick him back. That's for sure. But again, guys, here's the problem. When you're dealing with movie stars, the ones that don't have a real consideration for the work that's happening, they can do whatever the hell they want. There's nothing you can do to them because that's where your money comes from. That's where our industry works.
Exactly.
So
bigger and bigger.
Right. I mean, if you're working, look, I've had the good fortune to work with people like Morgan Freeman, or a lot of my buddies have worked for Tom Cruise or for Nick Cage, right?
Yeah.
Guys, first to set, last to leave. The kinds of actors that are there to do the job, they know they're making a ton of money. They respect the fact that they're making a ton of money, and they respect every person around them. You don't hear anybody have a bad story about Keanu Reeves. No one has a bad story.
No.
Because he's a good guy.
Exactly.
And
take it for granted. And you look at those guys, they're still going strong. And Val Kilmer,
they think it's all about them. They don't know
they lose it.
The crew and all that is really what makes the movie work.
Yep. Look, guys, I'll tell you, the best actors I've worked with are the ones that, you know, when lunch comes around, they don't sit with the other actors. They sit with members of the crew.
Yeah.
They sit with the gaffer. They sit with people that the stunt coordinator. They sit with people where they go, no, these are the guys that actually make me look good all day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly.
On set, I work with the actors. That's who I'm going to be talking with. But, you know, that moment when you can just relax and just have a salad with somebody on the crew, they take the advantage of doing that. And those are the people that end up with better performances and that end up with a longer career longevity because they have respect for everyone involved in the process. Val didn't even have respect for his fellow actors, which look, you know, for me, you can give a good performance. That's great. Giving a good performance is terrific. But for me, you're not a good actor. You're not really an actor unless you're good to every other actor that works with you because, you know, a high tide rises all boats, not just yours.
Yeah,
that's true.
You know? So, he's a prick.
Everybody's like that. Even like stunt guys, you don't see a lot of love for them. When really stunt guys, you owe almost everything to them, is they make up like 50% of your trailer, which is what pulls people in for the movies.
Dude, my stunt coordinator, Freddie James, is I mean, beyond the fact that he's my brother, he is my left arm. Like I can't do anything without him. And I'll tell you, you know, I've been teaching in Los Angeles. I run my own studio in Los Angeles for actors and directors. And I've been teaching since Jason Goes to Hell. And Freddie, for the last, 15 years, Freddie's been one of my guys. And I got to tell you, before class, we do an hour-long fight club where all of my students are invited to learn, to train, to be able to do all their own stunts. And on my last feature on Secret Santa, there's over 200 stunts in the movie. They were all performed by the actors.
Man.
Wow.
That can only happen if they're being trained and they show the respect to the craft. And being a stunt person is a craft.
It really is. Yes.
100%.
You know, so, and they deserve their own Academy Award. Oh my God. I mean, don't get me started on how disrespected stunt people are. It's grotesque.
Yeah. Shouldn't he opened up Pandora's box?
No, it's all good. It's all good.
Well, jumping off of that, is there anything more shocking that people don't know about that has happened on set or any of them behind the scene type stories like the Val Kilmer?
Look, every movie has those things. And look, you know, Jason Goes to Hell definitely had plenty of them. Because of the documentary, I'm not gonna talk about a lot of that stuff only because a lot of that is covered in the doc. And look, you know, there's also things where there are people who behave a certain way because they're at a certain age. Legendarily, there's all this conflict that happened between myself and Carrie Keegan on Jason Goes to Hell. And here's the thing, I don't know, like in 2005, so 17 years ago now, Crystal Lake Memories, the book came out, right? That Peter Bracke wrote. And Peter, by the way, is the historian and the interviewer on Hearts of Darkness, The Making of the Final Friday. He's one of the guys who helped put the whole film together. Peter, amazing dude. He writes this book, and we have this beautiful book party, this opening of the book at Universal, right? This is in 2005. And so we're all there, and Carrie Keegan shows up, much to my surprise. And she's there with her husband and a couple of her kids. And the two of us sort of buried the hatchet at that point. You know, like there was this like moment of just like, we were kids. Yeah. Stuff happens. It's all good. And I got to tell you, man, like you get to that place where you just kind of think, okay, like you can let certain things just be in the past and it's okay. And you grow out of it. You grow up. I will tell you, there was a moment and this is a little bit of something that's in the doc, but there was a moment where we had made a lighting decision Bill Dill, my director of photography, who is a beautiful human being and one of the best cinematographers, not only that I've worked with, but one of the best in the world. Bill and I had made a lighting choice in the last scene of Jason Goes to Hell inside the Voorhees house. So when my brother Kip, who plays Officer Randy, when he gets his head cut off and his neck opens up and that demon comes out, I wanted to bring the feeling of Crystal Lake into the room.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So we did this blue rippled water effect in the lighting in the room emanating from Kip's neck, from that spot. So this idea that somehow the lake had sort of opened up in the room, right? That's where all this evil comes from. So I wanted that feeling in the room. Okay. So we do this effect. And my editor brings me in the morning. He says, Adam, I just saw the stuff from yesterday. It looks incredible. Like the lake effect is amazing. It's beautiful, blah, blah, blah. Great. My first AD comes up to me about 2 hours later. He's like, oh shit, dude, you better go help Bill. He's in the editing room. Sean's about to kill him. I was like, what? Why? So I run to the editing room. And there's Sean berating Bill Dill, just screaming at him for this lighting choice. And I walk in and I said, excuse me, is there a problem, Sean? I said, why are you yelling at my DP? You want to yell at me? That's fine. But I don't know why you're yelling at my DP. He says, he knows better. You're an idiot. He should know what he's doing. What is that lighting effect? I said, well, that lighting effect is something he and I decided on. And it's a creative choice. And you're never here. So I really don't think I should have to even talk to you about a lighting choice that I'm making, Sean. And Sean starts to scream at me. And he starts threatening my job. Now, mind you, we're 3 days away from the end of shooting the movie.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I said, Sean, fire me. Go ahead. Go ahead, fire me. I said, I can tell you what's going to happen. I said, my DP is going to walk. My whole crew is going to walk. And you go finish the fucking movie. Why don't you go shoot the thing? Why don't you go act in it? You can play all the parts, Sean. Or you can get on my way and let me finish making my fucking movie.
Fuck yes.
That's what I'm talking about.
That was kind of the break between Sean and I. That's where things just went from really bad to horrible.
Yeah.
Because I was 24 at the time. I just had my birthday.
Yeah.
I was 24. And I was telling, a 53-year-old Sean Cunningham, go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
Because he's a bully.
Mm-hmm.
Flat out, he's a bully. He's always been a bully. And
a lot of different people.
I didn't want to put up with the bullshit anymore. I wasn't interested. I just wasn't interested. So that's the kind of, like, again, on Jason Goes to Hell, really, I'm not kidding. Like, guys, the people on set, my crew, my cast, you couldn't have asked for better. Like, and by the way, I take some credit for that because I cast the entire cast and then I crewed the movie, and I would not allow anybody to be hired on the movie unless I met with them first. So I really did want to make something where I had like this kind of family atmosphere on set, and I think we achieved that. But I got to tell you, Sean Cunningham was really the only fly in the ointment. And it was simply that I think he was a little pissed off that this kid who was half his age, who was only a couple months younger than his son, was directing this huge movie.
Yeah.
And that it was getting done. By the way, guys, New Line was so happy with my footage that they watched the first 3 days of dailies and said, yeah, we don't need to come to set. You got it. You know what you're doing. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
They never bothered me again. Like, they couldn't have been more supportive. They were wonderful.
Jesus.
So that doesn't happen unless the director is getting the movie done.
Yeah. I mean, you see it now with like the lawsuit and the courts and all that. Like everything I've heard from Sean, and then like what you're saying, he never really cared about the mask to begin with.
No.
Now it's a whole
No.
thing with
No.
the mask and the rights. And
No,
it's
and
just
the things he says about fans of horror are so denigrating. I mean, every time I see him at a convention, I roll my eyes going like, do you guys not get it? Like, he doesn't love you.
Yeah.
You're a dollar sign to him. You're just a walking dollar sign.
Yeah. I could see
And
it.
that's that, look, the reason I love our genre is that there are very few uber rich people in our genre. It's not a place you go to like become super rich. That's for sure. You do it because you love it. You do it because you can't think that you would do anything else. You love the genre. And Sean is about money. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you are and that's what you want, cool. God bless. But when you're a creative person, when you want to tell stories and make people feel a certain way, you better have a love of the art, not just a love of the money.
Mm-hmm.
You can tell when someone loves the money, and that's Sean. Yeah.
See right through it.
Yeah.
I hear you there. So let me ask you about this one. What was your experience like on Let It Snow?
It was amazing. Here's the thing. When I finished Jason Goes to Hell, I was I was immediately handed. I was offered Pumpkinhead 2, Amityville 97.
Really?
I was offered a bunch of Leprechaun movies, including Leprechaun Back to the Hood. So there were all of these horror movies that came my way, but everything had a part number, right? It was all part whatever.
Yeah.
And I just went, you know what? Even my Friday the 13th film doesn't have a part number on it. It is the 9th film in the franchise, but it doesn't have part 9 on it.
Yeah.
And for me, because by the way, if it had been a 9, it would have been Friday the 13th, The 9 Lives of Jason Voorhees would have to be. But I didn't want to make a movie where every movie I made had a part number at the end. So my brother Kip had written a play that was that had become kind of a big deal in New York. He wanted to adapt it into a screenplay. He brought it to me. I read it. He and I worked on it for about a month and a half together. And we went out and financed it ourselves. Mm-hmm. And it was a crazy movie. I mean, we shot the thing for so little money. It was still a union movie. It was still a SAG movie. And we shot in 4 states with 51 speaking roles in 21 days back east in New York and up along the Eastern Seaboard. And I got to tell you, man, like that movie was so important for my career because what it did was it didn't allow the business to pigeonhole me. I mean, right after I did Let It Snow, I mean, that movie was a huge hit at Sundance, huge. So much so, there was a camera crew following my brother and I around Sundance for MTV. There was a half-hour special called I'm a Star at Sundance about my brother and I and my brother's wife, Allie, and Deborah, my wife, like all 4 of us at Sundance, like this thing, right? I sold 5 television shows the year after I made Let It Snow because of Let It Snow. So the fact that there was this like great paradigm shift in my career, by the way, not because I don't love horror movies, but because I was like, look, why is it, why does Wes Craven, why did he have to sell his soul in order to be able to make Music of the Heart? He wanted to make a different kind of movie. The guy should be allowed to tell a different story. Yeah. And I didn't want to be pigeonholed. I wanted to just tell stories. So look, the cool thing about Let It Snow, which now is on Amazon Prime, it only came up a few weeks ago. It's crazy. But I mean, it was on HBO for years and the Sundance Channel and it's been released all over the world. The thing about the movie that was cool was, my cast is so badass in that movie. Guys, Stephen Colbert's in the movie. It's one of the first things Stephen Colbert ever did.
That's awesome.
So, like, I've got this crazy cool cast. Henry Simmons, was one of the leads of the entire run of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. He's one of the leads. It's his first movie. It's Missy Pyle's first movie. It's like all these great actors, and they got a chance to do this film with us. So, yeah, it's Let It Snow. Let It Snow was really important for me, man. And it was like guerrilla filmmaking, and it was me running around New York with a camera and just making this like low budget indie rom-com that redefined my work experience in the industry simply because they couldn't pigeonhole me.
That's awesome. And you can tell you truly care about it.
Definitely. I do.
Definitely. And what's this I'm hearing about Kip with Amazon, man?
Actually, Kip, I can't really talk about that right now. There's been a little bit of a switch, which is awesome.
Okay.
Kip, let's just put it this way. Kip is killing it.
Yeah.
The guy is, he left the film industry, even though him and I, we speak weekly about everything movies. And I will say, so cool. So Kip was living in Luxembourg for the last 5 years for Amazon, where he was working for Amazon from Luxembourg. And we were all over Europe, with Secret Santa, because it was in all these European film festivals. And it was crazy. My brother would just show up to a festival, and take me and my whole cast out for dinner and everything else, and then come see the movie and cheer along with everybody. So it's really cool. My bro and I are in like an amazing place. We were partners for years, but it's really cool, and he's just killing it, man. He was running Amazon streaming for a bit, and now he is doing something else that I can't quite say yet, but it's insanely badass. So yeah, Kip went more the corporate route while I stayed in the entertainment side.
Hell yeah,
that's amazing.
Y'all are killing it though, man.
Thanks, man. I just wrote a part for Kip because I'm trying to woo him back to acting a little bit. Yeah. But I just wrote a part for him in a new TV series that our company is doing. So we'll see.
Definitely got to check that out. I got to ask you about you and Deborah, man, because apart from even just being married, like y'all go back.
Oh yeah,
long time with all this stuff, and y'all kind of defeated the odds in a way, I feel like, because you look at it from the standpoint of, it's the old don't dip your pen in company ink thing. And me personally, I have firsthand experience where I was dating a woman for like a year and we worked together and it just fell apart. And people that can just kind of juggle that, where it's not just at home, it's also in the workplace. That's a special thing. Not only like what y'all have accomplished, but the fact that y'all were able to hold it together, especially what you're doing, where you have ideas and obviously disagreements. We even have them, and that's just going with being married in general. You add that on top of it. Y'all have what's the magic behind this? Like, you got to let us in on the secret, because
you know what it is, man. I got to tell you. Look, I think the first thing is you got to marry your best friend.
Yes.
Because look, I'm very lucky in that I married a woman that is so freaking gorgeous. Like I find it kind of blinding most of the time. But the problem is a lot of people, like, they count on that part of it being the relationship, like that's what it's going to be about, or that the sex is what the relationship is about. Yeah. And I'm not saying that ain't important. Sure as hell it is. Obviously. But Deb's my best friend. And there's nothing we can't talk about. There's nothing we can't share with each other. And in being someone's best friend, there's an implied respect.
Yes.
Here's the thing. You're going to have fights. You're going to have disagreements. Filmmaking in particular is something that's born out of conflict. Great movies are about great conflict. So great films are usually made with a lot of great conflict behind them. Mm-hmm. That being said, when there is conflict, when someone does give a note or make a suggestion, you can't go, oh, that's just stupid, or oh, shut up. And when someone is criticizing a piece of work, you have to do it in a way that's respectful. You still got to get your point across, and you got to let them know. There have been times when I've written, I at one point wrote 30 pages of a screenplay, handed it to Deb. She read it. She came back to me and was like, honey, it's just not good. Now, I wanted to kill myself. Like, it was like, no, right? Like, you can't say this. And I had my little hissy fit, my temper tantrum.
Yeah.
And then I went and I wrote the next 12 pages I wrote were for a totally different movie, handed it to her, and she was like, yeah, these are 12 of the best pages you've ever written. Yeah. Well, that doesn't happen unless she lets me know the track that I'm on sucks.
Honesty, man.
Yes. It's honesty with a certain amount of empathy and compassion. And if you can have that, along with the thinking your partner is attractive and lots of great sex, if you can have all of that, dude, That's it. That's the magic. But by the way, look, the other thing is our voices complete each other. You know? And funny enough, like I write women better than Deb does, and she writes men better than I do. Because we actually listen to the opposite sex.
Yeah. I could see
so
that.
there's a certain amount of like completing that puzzle. The other thing is, I think a lot of people think that when you get married, it's going to be like hearts and roses the rest of your life, and you're never going to have a fight, and there's not going to be conflict. That's just dumb. Like, it's going to be conflict. You're two completely different people. And so I got to tell you, man, you know, during this shutdown, you know, because this week we are now 1 year shut down. I got to tell you, like at the beginning of it, I was like, wow, I wonder how we're going to be a year from now.
Yeah.
And it's amazing. I'm closer and more dedicated than I've ever been with Deb. So, you know,
see it.
Yeah, man.
I think my 3-year anniversary with my wife is like on St. Patty's Day. So
congratulations, brother.
Yeah, I know a little something about that. And just 3 years in, like she wants to kill me sometimes. I want to kill her, but one of those things where just at the end of the day, you love each other and you respect the other person, like you said, and you can't see, you just have the other one's back. And I think
you talk it out. And when you're pissed at each other, you talk it out, and you don't go to bed angry. You talk about it. You just deal with it.
That's awesome, man.
I think we already know the answer to this, but was movies always your dream job, just working in the film industry?
Yeah. What happened was and I know it's a story that a lot of people of my generation share. I was 9 years old. It was a Saturday morning. It was the first matinee screening of the original Star Wars of A New Hope. My dad had already seen it in New York at the premiere on the night before its premiere. Rushed to Connecticut, took me to the first show, and I sat fifth row center, which is always where I sit in a movie theater. And I looked up at that screen, and the minute that the Republic Star Destroyer comes over the camera, I turned to my dad and I said, I want to do that.
That's amazing.
And my dad, because I was 9 years old, my dad thought I wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah.
I was like, no, I want to make that.
Mm-hmm.
And literally, there has not been one day of my entire life since I was 9 years old that I have not been working at being a storyteller and a filmmaker and moving forward in this field. Literally from that day.
That's admirable.
So yeah, that's my whole life.
Because there's not many people, I know you've probably heard it a million times, but it still like rings true. There's not many people that had that initial dream, even as simple as astronaut, fireman, that actually become that. And then that's more attainable, although very hard, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Like fireman, like that. But for you to like pull that off and to fight and stick with it, that's very admirable.
It's actually really funny. I'm still, because of Facebook, I'm still very close with like with most of the people that I went to school with as a kid. And I've got friends who've known me since I was 6, who will every once in a while comment when I put a poster up for a new movie when something's going on. They'll comment like, man, I sat next to you in 4th grade while you were drawing, Darth Vader and all these like images from them and talking about how you were going to make movies. Like that was going to be your life. He said, and I remember it from 4th grade going like, that's my buddy Adam. He's going to do that. And then I went and did that. So
you're just like,
I can't imagine my life doing anything else,
man. My bad.
Yeah, you should, dude. Literally, right behind my computer, right here, is a full standing stormtrooper, 6'4" stormtrooper, literally standing behind my computer.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I gotta have all that kind of crap in here too.
I love it, dude. I love that room, man. That looks great, and the Bruce Lee is amazing, dude.
Yeah, I had to buy that. I'm a diehard Bruce Lee fan.
Dude, the man. Man.
Yeah, you don't even see over here. I got a whole like shrine over here to go with it. That's just to go on the podcast. Of course, you got to throw Jason in there too.
Damn Skippy.
Yeah. Amazing, man. Okay. So I gotta ask. We have to ask about this.
Sure.
So what brought about Secret Santa? Like, did you always picture making an off-the-wall, crazy Christmas comedy movie like this? I mean, I can't imagine, but maybe you did. I don't know.
No, I look. I have a very weird relationship with Christmas. My parents, who are both Jewish, were married on Christmas Eve. Because of that, we would have these incredible anniversary parties on Christmas Eve when I was born, and then throughout my life. That because it was Christmas Eve, and we had a lot of friends who were Christians and Catholics, we would have a Christmas party ostensibly. So I would get Hanukkah, then we get Christmas, and of course, Christmas was when you got all the cool toys. So Christmas became like a big deal in our house, right?
Oh yeah.
And then my parents got separated when I was 6. But they kept having the Christmas party. But they hated each other.
Yeah.
And so everybody was like smiling and Christmas cheer, but then telling them to go fuck themselves behind the scenes. It was it was nuts, right? So I'm witnessing that at 6 years old. Like, what is this about? Yeah. So I always saw Christmas as this kind of this weird holiday where everybody is supposed to act a certain way, but they feel a very different way. Yeah. And that was sort of the impetus behind Secret Santa, sort of like the sense of humor of it and what I wanted to try to do. Why the movie came about, we had just formed Skeleton Crew, literally just formed Skeleton Crew. And my partner, Brian Sexton, who is the best producer I've ever worked with, Brian came to me and was like, we need a horror movie. We need it now, and we need to make it for no money. And I was like, okay. He says, you got anything? Is there any scripts that we can? And I said, not for no money. No, I don't have anything that would be immediate, like for a micro budget. So I said, give me a couple hours. I'll call you back. So I called one of my actors, one of the people in my troupe. And I said, look, Pat, are you available to be in a movie if I shot it the first week, the first 2 weeks of January of the following year? And she was like, absolutely, whatever you need me for. I said, great. I said, remember when you said I could use your house up in Big Bear, that mansion that you have up in Big Bear? She's like, absolutely. I said, could I shoot there? She says, done. No problem. I said, great. Can you call all your neighbors and just ask if they can keep their Christmas decorations up through the first 2 weeks of January? That like by Martin Luther King Day, they can get rid of them? She said, no problem. I said, I'll pay to have them keep them. She says, no, everybody should be able to do it. She called back 20 minutes later. She's like, everybody's willing to do it. So it's like, great. So now I got a mansion at Big Bear, and I'm set decorated for the entire area.
That's amazing.
So I was like, okay. I called the other actors that I wanted to work with on this project that I thought would be right for it. Made sure they were all available. And that evening I called Brian. I said, I got an idea. Give me 3 weeks. So wrote the script in 20 days. We did a reading 2 days after we wrote it, did a very quick rewrite, took 2 hours, and then jumped on another reading. We did 1 month of pre-production and then 11 nights of shooting. And that was it.
Really?
So from the moment I came up with the idea till the minute we finished shooting, that we were in the can, was 2.5 months exactly. It was 10 weeks from end to end.
I can't imagine finding.
And that's Secret Santa.
Man, yeah, y'all patched that up good.
Yeah, thank you, brother. Thank you. Yeah. And truly, we had no money, no time. But we had incredibly powerful actors. We had Bob Kurtzman ran up there and, did the movie for me for nothing. The two of us we just wanted to play in the sandbox together again.
Yeah.
And the idea behind it was when I created Skeleton Crew with Brian and Deborah, we made a commitment. Look, we have a television division, we have a larger budget division, and then we've got our micro division. And the micro division I nicknamed it the Where the Hell Did Roger Corman Go division. And it's this idea of giving filmmakers a chance to make their movie at a tiny budget. So you can tell your story. We don't want to get in the way of you telling your story, but you only have this much money to shoot it in. So figure it out. And it's kind of incredible how ingenious people can be when they know this is the money you have. So my feeling was, we were just starting the company, and I said, listen, I can't tell another filmmaker to do something that I'm not willing to do. So let's do it. So Secret Santa was me proving that it could be done, and that if somebody who's had much bigger budgets like I have can do this, then somebody who's never had a budget at all, sure shit should be able to do it. So that was kind of the concept behind it. And, so far, so good. I mean, it's been really exciting. We're going to be shooting a film later this year in our micro division, and, really cool thriller that, this young filmmaker is going to be pulling out for very little money, but he gets to make his movie.
That's where that goes back to that creativity.
Yep.
There's a will, there's a way. It just matters who's.
That's what it's about, brother. That's what it's about.
Hell yeah, man.
Outside of filmmaking, do you have any other hobbies or activities you like to do?
Yeah, man. Yeah, I never seem to stop. I do a lot of art. I do a lot of sculpture. Sculpture is my big area. And most recently been just doing a ton of stuff. So a lot of film inspired stuff, a lot of, here, I can show you something if you want to hang tight for 1 second. I'll show you a piece that nobody has seen yet. So if you hang just 1 sec, all right?
That'd be an honor, man.
All right, cool. Hold on. Be right.
An exclusive sneak preview.
Yeah, y'all. Here it is first. Adam Marcus's sculpture. I'm actually really interested in this. I'm curious to see what this looks like. Yeah, that's the. Oh, it's trivia back.
I would have prepared the show and tell had I known. So forgive me, guys. But here,
prep better for you. It's on this.
So,
oh my God, that's amazing.
Here's one piece that I just finished. This sculpture. It's
Quint.
So it's Quint with the the full wave behind him and the on the barrel, of course, and then the fin up front.
Dude,
that's really
how
good.
Much?
Thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah.
How big
and actually, what's really fun also is that this is the can of beer that he crushes in the movie.
Yes.
So I sculpted that out as well. So hold on, I'll show you one other piece that is part of a larger piece.
That's amazing.
Detail on that is amazing.
So
bring that out.
I have a series called Serial Killers.
Mm-hmm.
But it's spelled cereal as in a breakfast cereal.
Yeah, I thought that.
And it's kind of like it's really about the fact that there's all these cartoon characters that are created to get kids to eat this stuff that nobody should be fucking eating because it's nothing but sugar and high fructose corn syrup, and it's like it's the worst thing you can feed your kids, but we all love it. I was a huge cereal kid. I love cereal, right? But it's like the worst, right? It's just bad for you. So I've got a series of paintings and sculptures in the Serial Killer line, and this is Frankenburied.
That's awesome. That's
dude,
really cool. Now, are you gonna make a Jason Goes to Hell figure though, dude?
Dude, I'm actually working on some horror icon stuff right now. So yes, there will be some Jason inspired art coming pretty soon.
Yeah, and how cool would that even be? Like they ain't putting out the NECA Jason Goes to Hell figure, so the director's like, you know what? I got it.
Yep.
Right here.
Yeah. I actually consulted with Sideshow when they did the Jason Goes to Hell 12-inch figure, the 6 scale. I consulted with them for a couple months on that, and they were awesome because they sent me the 4 foot tall Jason holding Freddy's head from Freddy versus Jason, so as like a thank you for helping them with that. So yeah, no, I've consulted on that stuff before. But yeah, man, I'm all about sculpting and that kind of stuff. And look, the other thing is, I teach actors, and that's my lifeblood, man. Like I love working with actors. So I'm constantly, even during the pandemic, I have 2 Zoom classes a week that are 4-hour classes every Tuesday and Wednesday night. And, you know, my team is full. It's like an amazing group of brilliant people. And they're all actors that you would recognize because they're on film and TV all the time. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, no, I definitely keep myself busy. No two ways about it.
Oh, I can tell.
Yeah, those are amazing. How
Yeah.
long
Thank
does
you,
it
brother.
usually take you to do one of those?
Funny enough, the Quint was really quick, which was weird, man. The Quint I did like over 3 evenings. When I was watching television, I just sculpt while I watched TV. Yeah. This guy took a little bit longer only because he was so conceptual. So it was just sort of like my own kind of thoughts on it. But yeah, man, it all depends on how big the project is. I have a Count Chocula one that I've just finished, where he's rising, he's floating actually in air out of a bowl of cereal, that all of these kind of serpent women are coming out of. And that one took like 3 weeks. So it all depends. It all depends on how many different elements are being used and what sculptural materials I'm using. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's just, man, that's awesome.
Thanks,
be
dude.
honest with you, like I was waiting, I was like, are these gonna be good? Are they gonna be like top of the line good? You know what I mean? Like like I said, I'm a straight shooter. I wouldn't have been
totally
like, sucks, but I'd been like, okay, that's good. But like,
yeah, that's nice. Whatever. No, I've been there, dude. Trust me. I gotta.
And the fact that you brought out a Jaws, Quint Robert Shaw from Jaws, like if anybody knows me, I can't reveal where it is because we're gonna do a top 100. But let's just say that movie is like,
oh, dude.
I'm in love with Jaws.
No, that's in my top 5. I actually think, and I say this all the time, Jaws is, I think, the best directed movie of all time.
Yes.
From just a directing standpoint, it's so sure-handed. It's such there's such a remarkable voice. Spielberg was so in the pocket on that movie. It's amazing.
Now I want to do a Jaws review with you. Jesus. You're like, for real. Honestly, though.
It's the best. My brother Kip,
for me.
You know, a decade ago, my brother Kip had his first son, Keaton, brilliant, who's turning into a brilliant writer on his own. He actually, my 2 nephews, Keaton and Quinn. Quinn is an actor. Mm-hmm. Quinn was in this movie Never Grow Old with John Cusack and Emile Hirsch just a couple of years ago. He plays Emile Hirsch's son in the movie. So anyway, these 2 kids created their own website called Sweet and Sour Movies.
Yeah.
And it's movie reviews by kids for kids. Mm-hmm. It's insane. Guys, this site is out of control. They have like 1,000 reviews, and the reviews are like 6 pages long. These kids are like Pauline Kael. I'm like, I don't know what the hell happened here. But when his son Keaton was a baby, Kip wanted to bring the baby out for Halloween and like show him off. And so Kip dressed as Quint and put the baby in a shark costume. Because it was literally Kip was walking around as Quint holding Jaws, which was his son Keaton. So yeah, we are. Look, you guys know from Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah,
you know. You give me $100,000, I'll bring you the mask, the machete, the whole damn thing.
Yeah,
that's right from Jaws. So yeah, no. We have much Jaws love in this house.
Yeah, classic Quint, dude. Hell yeah, that's awesome, man.
The best.
Same here. So, speaking of Hearts of Darkness,
what's
the latest on that, man? What's going on with Hearts of Darkness?
We shot the first 30 interviews last February. Mm-hmm. We were killing it. We were just kicking some major ass. It was going freaking great.
I was on a roll.
And then shut down.
Yeah.
And we got 9 more interviews. Actually, 8 more interviews because we got 1 done. We got 8 more interviews to do. But look, here's the thing. I was going to be in Chiller last year. I was going to be at Chiller in New Jersey, and we were going to shoot at Chiller as well to get some convention footage and to get fans and all that good stuff. And Chiller got canceled. Everything got canceled. I literally just found out I'm booked for Chiller at the end of October back in Jersey. So that will be the last couple days of shooting for Hearts of Darkness. So we will finish photography this year, be in post. We're already kind of posting already, but we'll be in full post by the end of the year. And hopefully the beginning of next year, the movie will be ready to go.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah,
so that's
ready for it.
But here's the thing. I could have done my interviews on Zoom. We could have done that. But I got to tell you, man, it's like people paid for a feature film. They didn't pay for a Zoom film.
Exactly.
And I love Zoom. I love the technology. I think, look, the fact that we're able to talk this way, even on Restream, is kind of amazing. It's amazing. Like, God bless. Like, this is awesome. But when you watch a feature movie, you want to have an experience that there is, a high quality of cinematography, that there's been a certain care to all of it. Also, when you're in someone's home and you're photographing them, there's a certain at ease quality that starts to happen, especially with, Peter Bracky's doing the interviews, and he's such a sweet man. He's like such a good dude that like you just start talking, and suddenly stuff that either you didn't remember or you didn't think you were going to talk about starts spilling out. Guys, these interviews have been incredible. Like it's such a cool doc. And so for me, I'm not gonna half-heart it. I'm not gonna like rush it out so it gets done, but it doesn't get done as well as it should. I want it to be beautiful. I want this to be the documentary everybody wanted to make. So, I'd rather take my time and do this correctly. And by the way, we don't have a choice. We have to do it safely. So I will never put anybody in danger to shoot a movie. Never. Not on my watch.
Yeah, that takes precedent for sure. I definitely agree with that.
But it's going to be great. The doc is really good. It's really good.
Hell yeah, man. Is there any other upcoming projects or anything like that you'd like to plug?
We have, we have a ton of stuff we're doing. We've got this thriller that I was talking about earlier that we're going to be shooting later this year in LA. I've also got a terrific movie that I'm going to be going off to shoot in Europe in the next couple of months. That will actually be the biggest budgeted film I've ever made. So I'm really excited about that. It's a movie Deb and I wrote together, and Skeleton Crew is partnered with a company called Magic City out of LA and Johannesburg in South Africa. And so we're shooting the film in Europe. It is have you guys seen The Raid?
Oh my God.
Okay.
So grab there if you can.
So kind of a female version of The Raid. Damn Skippy.
That's another two of my favorite movies ever made.
Well, it's about three women who get stuck in a building where in a hotel where everybody in that hotel is involved with human trafficking, and they don't want these women to get out of this building. And one of these three women is not what they thought she was.
Yeah.
And it is a fight for survival. It is these three women getting the hell out of this building by hook or by crook, and they'll do whatever it takes. So it's pretty badass, guys. It's pretty raw. It's scary, but it's not a quote unquote horror movie. But it's I think you guys are gonna dig it. It's really cool. I'm very excited about the movie.
I was already in, and then you're like, my biggest budget. And you're like, have you seen The Raid? I'm like, Adam Marcus is doing this. Like, hold on now. Like, this is a different type of hype now.
Yeah.
Like,
we're also we're busy working on a film with Stephen Williams that is sort of Creighton Duke inspired. So we're working on that one called Hell's Bells right now. That is about an aging bounty hunter who has to stop an army of the dead in a tenement building in Chicago. So that's something we're working on. We also have a new TV series that I can't talk about yet, but that is truly the best thing I've ever worked on. The best writing Deb and I have ever done. It's sort of our crowning achievement as of this point. So we got a lot of stuff going on. It's good times all around. That's for sure.
Yeah, you weren't lying. You definitely keep yourself busy.
Yes. Yes. I literally wrote 10 episodes of television during the pandemic.
I hear you, man. That's
Woo.
my mindset too. Everybody kind of shut it down with everything. I put my life back on track when the pandemic hit. The way I looked at it is this was my way to catch up.
Yeah, great way to reset, right? Like take the time to reset.
It's that, but it's also the fact that like I feel like I fell behind so many different people, and now
totally
people are going to be forced to screech to a halt. This is my chance to catch back up and get ahead of them and fix my mess ups of the last couple of years. Right.
Love that, dude. That's awesome.
That's mentality right there, man.
That's great.
But hell yeah, man. I loved having you come on. I know I've talked to you in passing a few times here and there, but I always wanted to get you on the show. We finally made it happen. I mean it from the bottom of my heart, man. Like, this is huge for me.
Thank you, brother.
Friday the 13th has been my favorite franchise my whole life. And man, like I said, something as simple as when I was like 3 years old, looking up and seeing the case, it's just wild to just have you on the show, man. And
thank you, brother.
Be thankful for that,
man. It's been absolutely my pleasure talking to you guys.
Yeah, you were amazing. Your stories. This is one of the best interviews I think we've done.
Oh, thanks, man. Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and you're welcome back.
Yeah, please come back.
Anytime, guys. Anytime.
I know you're busy as hell, even if it's something as simple as reviewing Jaws, dude. Like I said, open invitation.
I love it. Awesome,
yeah,
guys.
Man. All right, man. Thanks for coming on. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
See y'all soon.
See you, man.